Hello everyone, it's Joush Boy here, welcome back, and today we're going to be doing a Championship Stadium tier list for the 24-25 season. So let's not mess around and let's get straight into this video. And to start with, we have got Elland Road, and it is one of the best stadiums of the Championship. You can't argue with it. It fits about 40,000 fans, I think, and I'm doing this just on stadium and nothing else, no atmosphere. Nothing like that, so just basically the stadium and nothing else. It's a lovely stadium in my opinion, I hate to say it. But I don't think many beat Leeds, and I'm going to have to put it in best. I just really think it's a great stadium. Obviously, they've got the great cop, and then they've got a massive stand as well with the double TA. It just looks brilliant. I really like it, especially with the sponsor and all that. So, yeah, Leeds Elland Road is going to go best. Next up, we've got Bramall Lane of Sheffield United. And it's a bit of a strange one for me, this. I've been here before. It's like a weird one because you can't really see it unless you're right next to it. It's just completely hidden in the city. Like, there's no real signs of the stadium, especially coming through one way. You could just drive down the road and not know there's a stadium right to your left. It's really weird. And it is a great stadium, don't get me wrong. It's really old. It's got a lot of history. It looks nice. Is it as good as Elland Road, though? For me, it's not. I think it's just the tier below there. I'm going to put it in nice ground, because I do think it's a lovely ground. Don't get me wrong, it's great. But I just don't think it's quite hitting that top tier for me, unfortunately. Just falling short, though. So just a little bit off. It was just that little bit better. After that, we do have Turf Moor of Burnley. And this is, in my head, it's like, it's a good stadium, don't get me wrong. But is it anything special? No. It's traditional, it's nice, you know, it's a good old English ground, it's a classic one. But it's not got any, like, flair about it for me. There's nothing that I'm looking at and I'm like, oh, you know, I really like that part, like there is with the best stadiums. I feel like there's always that different feature. Is it as good as Bramall Lane? For me, I'm going to say no, it's not. And that means it's going to go in decent. It is a good ground, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with it, and it's like a nice classic old ground. But it's just not my favourite, to be honest, and there's not much more else to say. After that, we do go on to Sunderland's Stadium of Light, and I do really like this stadium. I think it's massive, isn't it? It holds, what, like 45,000, maybe even more than that. And it is a nice stadium. It's like, it does remind me a lot of St James's Park, obviously. They've got quite similar design. They're very different styles. I feel like St James's Park is much more of like a English old school classic one, and this one's a bit more modern, a bit more jazzy, but it's still a nice stadium. Where to put this one? It's a bit tricky. I'm stuck between nice ground and decent, somewhere in the middle of them two, I think. Where's it gonna go? It's a lot better than Turf Moor. Do I prefer it to Bramall Lane? It's going to go at the bottom of nice ground. I think it's just making it into that one. It's better than Turf Moor, but just not quite good as Bramall Lane for me. So it's good in between them. And it is a good stadium, isn't it? It's massive. It's a good stadium. I really like it. Oh, I'm moving on. We have one that I am not fond of at all. And it is Coventry's CBS Arena, I do believe. I don't know if they've changed the name. But that's what I know it as anyway. And it's just a bowl, isn't it? And from above, they've got that massive, like, I don't know if it's like a basketball arena or what. That's a random guess if it's not. But they've got a massive bubble thing on it. And it just looks weird. It looks funky. It's not really a football stadium, is it? I think the colour looks good. Obviously, it's a big light blue. But it's a bowl stadium. It's not the worst bowl stadium in the world, but it's just not nice. I feel like bowls always look really bad when they're not empty. And obviously, Coventry bring a lot of fans as well. But when they don't fill it out, it just looks bad, in my opinion. And I don't like it. And I'm stuck between bad and terrible. And I think it's going to go in terrible for me. It's just not a good ground at all, is it? There's nothing about that makes, like, it's not got any redeemable factors for me. It's everything I don't like in the ground. It's ugly. I think it's in the middle of nowhere. It's a bowl. What more could, like, you not ask for? You know what I mean? It's the worst possible, like, imagination of a ground. And that is our first terrible ground. Moving on to West Brom, we have the Hawthorns. And this is a lovely little stadium, isn't it? It's just charming. It's got that beautiful character about it, what you like. But it's not too old school where it's just run down, you know. It's got like, it's like a modern English stadium, if that makes sense. It's got the old school vibe and feel, but it is actually a modern stadium kind of thing. It just looks really nice. I think it's proper unique as well. There's not really a stadium like it, and I'm a big fan. Is that enough for it to go in best, or does it have to go in nice ground? I think I'm just going to put it at the top of nice ground. I think it's better than Bramall Lane, but not quite reaching that Elland Road level for me. It is a lovely stadium, though, don't get me wrong. I'm a big fan of it. Moving on to Ashton Gate. This one's a weird one for me. I do really like it on face value. It looks lovely, but I feel like I've been put off it when this one's on TV because it's filmed from a crane for some reason. Like, the angle is like you're looking down on the pitch rather than, like, into it, which is better. But ignoring all that, ignoring the stadium alone, it's an absolutely lovely stadium in my opinion. It looks so good. I feel like a lot of people compare it to like a mini Anfield, and I definitely see where they're coming from. It's just nice, isn't it? And especially like with I know the rebuilt part of it not too long ago, like probably like 10, 15 years. I'm not sure if it was that long. But yeah, and it just looks really good. It's a really nice stadium in my opinion. And it's going to sneak into that nice ground category for me. So that's another one in there. We're quite top heavy at the minute, aren't we? Some good ones. Next up, we head to the Riverside of Middlesbrough. And this one is just like a Pride Park, in my opinion. It looks very similar to Pride Park. However, I just think it looks a bit worse. I think Derby's ground is much sleeker than this one. This one's like, the red's not great. And I don't know, there's just something about it. It's a bit more blocky and bulky rather than stylish. And it's just that bowl stadium look. I don't know, I just feel like it's a bit of a depressing ground to look at. Obviously, it's by the river and all that, obviously. And it looks really nice from the outside and stuff. But as a stadium, it's not my cup of tea, to be honest with you. It's not my thing. And it's going to go in bad. I'm going to put it in bad. And that might be a bit harsh. I know it's a really good modern stadium and all that, but it's my personal taste and nobody else's. I'm not being influenced. If my club were given that stadium, I wouldn't be too chuffed, you know. And now we have Blackburn's Ewood Park, an old stadium with a lot of history, obviously. It's normally quite empty, but that doesn't matter for this. We're just going on the stands. They've got the 3 double-tier stands, which look quite similar, don't they? And then they've got the older, bit more run-down stand as well, which I do like, to be honest. It's interesting when a ground has like that older stand, just to... It kind of reminds you of, you know, the ground's roots, because obviously it's been refurbished and whatnot, but it's still got, like, that heart to it, and I do like it. I don't like it that much, to be honest. It's not my favourite ground ever. Do I prefer it to turf more, though? I think I do prefer it to turf more. I think it's just like a nicer version of that almost. So not two different grounds, really. But yeah, I think Blackburn's going to go at the top of decent for now. I feel like I'm being quite harsh on it, and then I've just put it in decent, but that's where it belongs to me. Just top of decent. After that, we have Watford Stadium, Vicarage Road. This is a weird one as well. Like, the seats are really a unique colour. I don't think I've ever seen that colour anywhere else. It's like yellow and red. It's very, like, compact. It's a very, like, southern stadium in my mind. I don't know why. I feel like up north you get these, like, bigger, bulkier, older stadiums. But down south, it's like a little... It's very compact, which I do like. It's a cute little stadium, isn't it, Vicarage Road? It's nice. It's... nice is the word I'd use to describe it, to be honest. I don't think there's much more than that. I don't think it's my cup of tea, and I know it's a nice stadium, but it just doesn't do it for me. Something about it just makes me go a bit... I don't know. I feel like the fact that it's all just like kind of one level, even though I know it's like 4 different stands, and I think there is a double tier stand, it kind of all just like sits in a little box, done it on its own, and it's... I'm not sure if it's my cup of tea, and the colour of the seats don't help. I'm going to put it alright, just because I don't really have like a particular feeling either way, because there are good qualities and bad ones too. So I think that's fair enough. After that, we head to Millwall, and it's the Den. This one's just got 4 stands that are double tiered, and they all look quite similar. They're all matching kind of thing. They look quite nice. It's, you know, you can definitely see the design, what's going off there. They've just gone double tier stand, double tier stand, double tier stand, and then once more a double tier stand. So it's a little bit boring and unimaginative. It looks all right, but it's not anything jazzing. I feel like I can't put it anywhere but all right. It's like there's nothing wrong with it. It's just not particularly interesting, to be honest. Like, it's just 4 double tiered stands, isn't it? It's like as basic as you can get without being a bowl stadium. It's like classic style of a bowl stadium, if you know what I mean. It's just like 4 even stands, we'll whack them together, that'll be fine. After that, we have the old historic ground of Hillsborough. And this is what I was on about earlier when I mentioned about like northern stadiums just being like big and bulky. This is like a big, bulky stadium. You know, it's old, it's got that history to it, and I do really like it, to be honest. It's a nice stadium, even though it could probably do with some sort of like redevelopment of sorts. Not, obviously we don't want to destroy it or anything like that, but just, you know, get it up to today's standards, because I know that away end is quite an old stand. But I'm not too sure where to put this one. I think it sneaks into nice ground. I think it's definitely one of like the better ones in the Championship, and I think it's fair to put it in there. You know, I could change it around at the end if I'm feeling like it, but for now it's going to go in nice ground. We'll see how the rest goes. Then we head to Norwich, and I've completely forgot the name of the stadium. I don't know why. I have it in my head and it's just completely gone. I do apologise. I put it on screen. But their stadium I do really like, to be honest. I feel like nobody ever talks about this as a good stadium. When we're on about Championship stadiums and that, no one ever says this one. But I do quite like it. It's a smart stadium, isn't it? It's unique as well in the colour scheme, for one. And then also just the way the stands are. They've got a double tier stand behind each goal, but one of them curves around, doesn't it, to join in with the other one, I think. And it looks quite nice. It's an aesthetic little tidy ground. It's a tidy ground, I'd say. Reminds me a teeny bit of the Hawthorns. I don't know why I've just said that, but it does remind me a little bit of the Hawthorns, just in a way. of sorts. It gives off a similar vibe. It's just quite a clean stadium, and I do quite like it. So for this one, I'm going to have to put it in... Ooh, I'm going to have to put it in nice ground as well. I feel like I'm putting them all in nice ground at the minute. I do apologise. But it is a nice ground. That's what it is. I'm not going to lie. I do like it. It's good. And yeah. Then we head to Deepdale, and it's Preston North End Stadium. And this one, again, it's like Millwall Stadium if it was all one tier instead of two, really. It's nice, and I do like the floodlights, the way they've done that. It does look pretty cool, I'm not going to lie. But it's quite a basic stadium, isn't it, really? They've just gone with the 4 stands. I know one of them is a bit smaller, but they've still kind of joined in with a pattern, so it doesn't look out of place or anything. It is a good stadium, but is it anything more than that? I'm going to put it in decent. I think it's just above average, you know. It's just a championship stadium. I think when you think of the championship, you think of these type of stadiums, don't you? And yeah, Preston's is like that. Then after that one, we head to Loftus Road, QPR Stadium. And I think it's called the Killing Prince Foundation Stadium now, actually, but I just think of it as Loftus Road still, as I'm sure a lot of people do. And this one's a really nice one, and it's just got that little trendy feel to it. It reminds me of Luton's in that respect, just, you know, the way people think of it. It's just an old school ground, isn't it? But it's a really unique one, this. It's like a box stadium. It's like, instead of a bowl, it's like a little square, innit? It's such a strange stadium, but it's just got so much character to it. It's just such a shame if this ground ever goes, wouldn't it? Because it's just like, oh, it's such a good ground. It's so weird. It's just got it might be 3 double-tiered stands again, and then it's just got one big one. But behind both goals and that away end, it just looks so crazy how many people just crammed into that little department. It reminds me of that old away end at Griffin Park. That was crazy. It's kind of that sort of feel to the stadium. It's a great stadium. I really like it. And it's going to go in nice ground, shock. After that, we go to the Liberty Stadium, which again, I'm not sure if it's called that anymore. That's just the name I always had for it. And it is a nice stadium, but it's just a bowl stadium as well. It looks nice, is all I'm going to say, but it's not really one that feels like a football stadium almost. It's more of just like a jazzy, cool-looking stadium. I think the seats look cool. You know, it's got the black and white pattern, and it's got the wavy patterns, I'm pretty sure. But does it do anything for me? No, not really. And I think I'll put it in all right. It's just very, very basic. It's very symmetrical. I feel like when a stadium's too symmetrical, it feels weird. It's got to have that bit of charm and character about it, especially in the Championship. I'm tempted to put it in bad, actually, you know. I've put Riverside in bad, so I'm going to put that in bad. I think I have to. I'm sorry, Swansea fans. I know that's a bit harsh, but I don't like your stadium. And then heading to a stadium that I do really like. It's Fratton Park, and I friggin' love this stadium. I'm not too sure why. It's just got the charm, hasn't it? It's got that special something. I can't quite place it, but it's just like, I don't know. I don't even know what it is. It's just, it's old school, but it's just so nice to look at as well. You know, I'm going to put it in best. I'm going to put it in best. And I'm sorry, I know I feel like this makes no sense the way I do that. But for me, it's one of the best stadiums and could be top 3 in the Championship. It's just, it's so nice, isn't it? It's got a little charm around it. Stand behind the goal is really good, and then the stand, but that's the away end as well. It just works so well together, doesn't it? It's such a good stadium. And it might be a bit of a wild take for me, that, but I'm going to put it in best. And then we have Oxford Stadium, which I believe is called the Kassam. And you may notice about this stadium that it's not got a stand behind the goal, and this is going to have to give it big minus points. I feel like without that, it's another quite boring one. All the stands are the same. It kind of reminds me of Millwall if it was all single-tiered. It's going to have to go in terrible, innit? You've not got to stand behind one goal. Like, what's all that about? Stands behind the goal is like where the magic happens normally. And how can you just not have a stand there? It's just a car park, and it ruins the whole stadium for me. And I'm sure when you're there, it just doesn't feel like an enclosed space. And it must be so much harder to make atmosphere and stuff when there's just a massive gap behind one of the goals. It'd just be such a weird stadium to play at. And then moving on to Hull Stadium, the KCOM was what I always called it. I feel like it's like the MKM Stadium or something like that now. We're going to say the KCOM just because that sounds better, doesn't it? And it's a ball. It's got a little bit of something about it. It's got a little whoof thing. And I don't mind this one. I feel like as far as bowl stadiums go, this is definitely one of the better ones. It looks quite fancy. The colour scheme is interesting as well. It's got like black seats and that, which is wicked. And it's grown on me, this one. It's not my favourite stadium by any means, but it's not the worst ever. And I think it's between that alright and bad. It is just going to slip in bad. I do apologise. I think just looking at the stadiums that are also in bad, it's got to go there for me. Like, maybe I might prefer Middlesbrough to it slightly, and that's in bad as well, so I can't really, you know, go against that. So, yeah. And then we have the Bet365 Stadium of Stoke. This one's a weird one, because I feel like when they first moved into this one, it didn't really have any corners, but now it's almost fully joined up, and it's just lost a little bit of that, I don't know, that difference to it now. When they just join up a stadium, it just looks boring, doesn't it? Half the corners are joined up, and they've just got, like, a little boomerang stand almost. And I feel like it ruins it. If they kept the corners separate, it's just got that bit more about it. I do really like the big stand they have that runs down the side of the pitch. It's really nice. I think it's like double tiered or something. I don't know. That one looks good. But I feel like the rest of it, it's just not my type of stadium. It's not my cup of tea. And then we have the Cardiff City Stadium. And this one reminds me of Leeds Stadium. But no, before you get ahead of me, I'm not going to put it in best. Nowhere near. And the reason it reminds me of Leeds is just because of that stand that's got another tier. And it looks quite a bit like Leeds's. But it's like a rubbish version. It's a modern, ugly version. It just doesn't have that charm that Leeds does at all. And it's going to go in bad for me. It's lucky to miss out on terrible. It's just another rubbish stadium, isn't it? It's new and it's not looking nice at all, to be honest. I don't like it. It's just... something in me recoils when I see that stadium, so I'm going to put it in bad. And then we have Pride Park of Derby County, another one I've been to, and I do think it is quite nice. It's obviously a lot like Middlesbrough, like I said earlier, but I think it's slightly better. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a colour scheme or what, but I do prefer it to the Riverside. And for that, I'm just going to put it in all right. Maybe it's a little bit lucky to be in there, but it isn't a bad stadium, is it? It's all right. It does the job, and it does look quite good, especially when full, which I know I'm not going to talk about too much because I don't want to talk about fans in this video. But yeah, it's all right. It's all right. Then we head over to the Kenilworth Road. I do really like this stadium. It's got that special charm about it, and I feel like everyone's been on about the stadium because obviously they're in the Prem last year, and it was the whole thing about, ooh, look at the away end. It's like near someone's garden. I was a fan of this stadium before it was a trend. So, you know, it's my opinion, and it's... I'm between decent and nice ground just because of the charm it's got. I know it's not like the flashiest ground ever, but that's not what a good stadium is in my opinion, especially not for football. It's just about having that character. And I'm going to put it in decent. It does just miss off nice ground. I just feel like there's some grounds that are better than it, that's all. It is a good one though, and it's a stadium that's really close to my heart, and it will be such a shame when they move out. And finally, the final stadium for this video is Plymouth Argyle's home park. I do like this one, to be fair. It's not too far off being a bowl stadium. It's got one of them boomerang stands, like I said. But I do like this stand, they redeveloped, I think. It looks really nice. It's like a nice hint to the club's history. But, where do I put this one? It's the last one. I think I'm going to go decent for Plymouth Argyle's home park. I do really like it, to be fair. It's one of them, whenever you see it on TV, you're like, oh yeah, I like watching a game there. It's a good one. Yeah, it's a really good stadium for me. And that does wrap up this video. I do hope you've enjoyed. I know I've just kind of been babbling and rambling. The setup for this video was not great at all, I'm not going to lie. I was going to do it on my PS4, but the thing is, my PS4 does not screen record on the tier list thing. And to make it worse, it's really laggy. So I've just been after scrolling through each one and just trying to remember where I've put it for the edit. So that is annoying. But anyways, if you did enjoy this video, please consider liking and subscribing. It would mean a lot. And if you've got any recommendations for any more tier lists or anything like that, do let me know in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye. This is my remarkable setup, if anyone was wondering. I hope you like how it looks.